our next guest, Mr. Bill Scurry.
This is a tasty burger.
I see you guys can read. That's cool. So perhaps there was no other filmmaker in the 1990s who was more imitated than Quentin Tarantino, right? You're talking about a decade of a lot of followers. After the 1-2 punch of Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, I think a lot of young filmmakers had visions of Sundance success, and a lot of studios had a picture in their head of making cheap films that had a lot of Oscar potential to them. I think in considering this field of imitators, we can look at Kevin's tripartite system of identification, the rip-off, the homage, or the coincidence. Now, I've compiled a list of movies here.
Let's get a taco.
We got 20. This is our sample serving, right? And it's sort of arbitrary, but you know, I think that these are 20 representative films that essentially show you what the zeitgeist was for a decade. In watching these 20 films, it had sort of occurred to me that there was a commonality, and I started to see pieces of DNA represent themselves, and it made me think, ooh, that's a bingo. There's a bingo card here, right? You're watching these movies, and things would just call themselves out, like I-18, etc., etc. So what I did was, I found 15 characteristics in these 20 movies. Now again, it's kind of arbitrary, but this is the taxonomy that I'm going for. So what we have is body mortification, the presence of Steve Buscemi, casual and/or comedic violence, copious amounts of firearms, few, if any, female characters, Harvey and Bob, intersecting narratives, loquacious criminals, and its cousin, the pop culture conversation, sexual deviance, a sprawling cast, the TV actor doing edgy work, one of my favorite, and Christopher Walken, of course.
Toby Chung, fucking Charlie Chan.
Now you can tell I used to work in newspapers, right? So here's a relational database. On the x-axis, I have our 20 films, as that's our sample serving. The ones in red rubric type are the ones I'm going to be talking about in particular as an example. On the y-axis, I have the 15 categories. So you see how they populate their fields pretty well here. Which top button? No, yeah, I'm not getting a laser pointer. Anyway, doesn't matter. You'll see left to right, some of these fields are really filled out, showing the trend of imitation. Casual comedic violence, copious amounts of firearms, loquacious criminals. Again, my favorite, the TV actor doing edgy work, is a fan of character actors. This is just, it was like a gold mine for these shitty imitation performers.
Toby Chung.
There we go. Okay, our first example, we're gonna look in detail, is Gary Flater's Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. 1995, this was one of the earliest imitators, conscious imitators that I think I could find. The plot is pretty simple. Here's Andy Garcia again, by the way, in terms of all these commonalities accidentally arise. So Andy Garcia is a criminal, gets together his gang to do one last job for Walken. The job goes to shit. Walken spends the rest of the movie knocking off his gang, 10 Little Indian style, one at a time. So did you guys love the edgy work that John Travolta did in taking a zigzag in his career? If you like that, you're gonna love Treat Williams punching a corpse in the back of a funeral home. I can just imagine the conversation he had with his representation saying, I want those scripts, get me in those rooms, I want that credibility. Andy Garcia literally enjoys a $5 milkshake, conjuring the image of Jack Rabbit Slims. And here we go, the redoubtable Jack Warden, right? One of our favorite character actors. He's the old salt mobster gabbing in a coffee shop, kind of like reprising the role of Lawrence Tierney from Reservoir Dogs. He's only in this movie for a very short time, doesn't really do much to add to it, but he is here.
You lost all your LA privileges, deal?
With 12 out of 15 Tarantino heads subscribed, I give Things to Do in Denver Dead solid rip-off status. Next film, 2 Days in the Valley, directed by this guy named John Hertzfeldt from '96. This is a Altman-esque shortcuts type, sprawling LA narrative with a lot of underworld people, a suicidal writer, double-crossing cops, etc., etc. John Hertzfeldt was this guy who was a pretty big afternoon special guy for ABC in the mid-'70s, and this was one of his only big feature films. I don't know what happened to his career, but there you go. So we have Charlize Theron with a hole in her gut. riding on a couch, and all that makes me think of is Tim Roth in a car with Keitel saying the magic words, "You're gonna be okay," conjuring up a better film. Here we go, guys. The needlessly chatty hitman.
You know, people don't realize how important a minute is. So much life revolves around a single minute. You have minute egg, minute longs, minute rice.
Beautiful. And what a better way to conjure up the spirit of Tarantino other than to hire half his fucking repertory. So you have Lawrence Tierney and Eric Stoltz in small roles here.
Oh man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Why the fuck did you do that?
2 Days in the Valley with 9 out of 15 Tarantino heads gets a pretty solid ripoff from me. Okay, next movie is called Phoenix from some guy named Danny Cannon. This came out in 1998. What we have here is Leota, peak Leota, sweaty Leota, barrel-chested Leota, right? Leota plays a dirty cop. He's up to his tits in gambling debt, so he gets his corrupt cop buddies together to knock over a strip club. It goes to shit. Everyone winds up dead by the final frame. So on and so forth. So, our opening shot is 4 guys walking abreast of the camera. Where have you seen this before? Is this something you might have seen? You get a gut shot, you get a gut shot, everyone gets a gut shot. Sandra Berkeley taking a pistol to everyone in sight, shooting Piven, shooting Leota. My favorite part about this is that Leota walks around for like the last 35 minutes of the film with a hole in his side, lighting cigarettes with this greasy, red, blood-stained hand. And of course, guys, the pop culture conversation you were looking for.
Natives on this island, they build this huge fucking wall, right? Designed to keep out King Kong, wouldn't you? The scene where King Kong, he attacks the village to get at that screaming woman.
And Darrow.
He attacks the village and he forces his way through these 2 giant doors. Fred, they built a wall to keep out this giant gorilla. Why the fuck do they put 2 giant doors in it big enough for Kong to fit through? And what the fuck were they thinking about? Plus, King Kong can climb the Empire State Building, but he can't climb this wall where they coat it with KY jelly or something? It doesn't make sense.
Man, he sells the shit out of that. It doesn't mean anything. It has nothing to do with the plot. It's just a zigzag. It's great. I love Leota, man. This is like, he executive produced this movie. This is prime Leota.
Take the butt if you're gonna smash their nose.
The 9 out of 15 Tarantino hits, I give Phoenix a ripoff. Too bad. Okay, we weren't going to get out of here without talking about Boondock. Everyone knows the story of Boondock. Troy Duffy, 99. You saw the movie overnight, so you know this guy talked himself out of a feature film career, right? So let's get into it. Do you like Ezekiel 25:17? Because if you like that, you're going to love Norman Reedus and Sean Patrick Flannery reciting something biblical sounding as they hold silenced pistols at a dude's head.
So we shall flow a river forth to thee, and taming of souls shall it ever be. Nomine Patri et Filii, Spiritus Sancti.
That's not even a Bible verse. It's a poem written in the 20th century. Instead of character development, we have a room full of guns, which I think you can expect. And a spasm of burlesque violence, right? Tell me that they blew this cat up just to put this comedic scene. It just makes me think of Marvin getting his face blown off in the back of the car. It's pointless. It's just a squib, that's all.
I buy the gourmet expensive stuff because when I drink it, I want to taste it.
Boondock Saints gets 8 out of 15, and let us not mention it again. Okay, well, I didn't want to close this out without talking about something that works, okay? So I'm going to go to Amores Perros from Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu, 2000, right? And you've probably seen it, you know the story. Oh, look at that shot. That's a beautiful shot. Look what this guy does. Blood on hibachi. Beautiful. So Iñárritu is a natural-born filmmaker. We know that. We know his successes thereafter. This is where he sort of started out for English audience, American or English language audiences, rather. And this is 3 vignettes in Mexico City, sort of a weird, sprawling story. Let's get into it, why this works, right? Tarantino uses a leitmotif in Pulp Fiction, I think, of these stories that are going into nosedive and they pull out with this redemption at the end. And I think that Iñárritu sees this similar leitmotif. He uses dogs to link these characters, right? Every one of these vignettes, the people are humanized and they relate to animals in a very specific way. It does a great job of building character. You don't have a person with a bullet, you got a gut-shot Perro, right? There's this scene that's electric. They're driving this pit bull to a hospital, and Gael Garcia Bernal's going nuts. He's trying to save the dog from exsanguination as they're being chased by a pickup truck. It's a great scene. And the intersecting narrative works here because it's motivated. There's a car crash that happens in each of these narratives, and it's not arbitrary, it's not incidental. The car crash comes and propels each of these things towards their conclusion. It's a fantastic, tidy way of storytelling.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
4 out of 15 Tarantino heads, you got an homage. I don't think it's a conscious homage, but I think that Iñárritu is a good filmmaker and understands what Tarantino was trying to do, and they're sort of cousins spiritually.
137 ran fast next. Chugging cock.
So, what have we learned? We learned that Walken was actually only in 3 of these films. He was in Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead, Suicide Kings, and this piece of shit, The Wild Side, who the director actually killed himself over because they took Final Cut away from him. But I think we learned that a lot of these filmmakers were sort of imitators who looked at the skeleton and DNA and decided to try to reassemble a body without having any kind of the soul of it. So I think I termed it, my wife actually put this really well, all the tricks, none of the magic. Thank you very much.